Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki. And on Street Talk, we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Joining me tonight,
Dennis Burnside.
And one of the things I was just peeping at is that we got wars, I'll just say some of the wars are going on almost in every different place. I was looking at some last week, we listened to some last week, and they were saying how many people are being killed in Sudan, saying that women are being raped, people have been being driven from their homes. That's in Sudan and other places, Ukraine. I heard one of Trump people talking yesterday or day before, talking about he want to get out of he want to close down Ukraine because they ain't doing nothing, he says, And of course, he says Ukraine the one started the fight,
I said a month ago on this show, and I've said it as recently as this morning talking to a friend of mine, if you look for the rationale for anything that Trump does or says, ask yourself, does it benefit Putin? If the answer is no, he won't say it.
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is yes, he'll advocate for
mm-hmm.
it. Now, he came in making that promise. You may remember during the campaign, he said he'd end the war in 24 hours in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
He said 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, he said, as a matter of fact, he said 24 hours, and it probably wouldn't take that long. That's what he said.
Yeah.
So he comes into office, and the war goes on, and he starts making statements that puts the blame for the inability for him to stop the war on Zelensky, President Zelensky of Ukraine. Well, why were you doing all that gaslighting during the campaign? Say you could start in 24 hours. You knew Zelensky was the president then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You knew he was recalcitrant then, if that's how you want to frame it.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you make all these warranties? Well, you just did that because that's what a con man does. He goes out and makes promises that can't be kept.
Mm-hmm.
So now that he's in this situation and he can't stop the war in 24 hours, who does he blame? He doesn't blame the entity that started the war.
Right.
He doesn't blame the entity that has been gobbling up territory that doesn't belong to his nation. It belongs to a sovereign nation called Ukraine. He blames it on the victim of the violence, the victim of the aggression. And he does that because he's a supplicant. He's a subordinate. He's downstream from Putin, who is his
master.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. His master. He does what he says. Now, if you look at what's going on in Africa, it's real interesting right now. In Northeast Africa, in the Sudan, you do have a horrible situation going on there on the ground with the civilians getting fresh food and water, living in the middle of a war zone. And that's a multitude of factors there. You have interests from the Middle East that have a say. Of course, you have the CIA, which is involved in that. And then you also have the Mossad, who are all trying to leverage their power and their objectives to stabilize the Sudan in their own image. And it's been going on now there for 20 years. So that's no surprise. But the good news, what I think is very promising, is what you're seeing in Burkina Faso with their president, a young man by the name of IBRAHIM TRAORE.
Okay.
He's 35 years old. He has said to his peers in Africa, we don't need these guys. And when he's saying that, he's saying we don't need these colonizers. We don't need them. One of the very first things he did was he kicked out all the French diplomats. Then he kicked out the French military. Then he changed the official language of Burkina Faso to an indigenous language, and will no longer recognize French as the official language of that country.
Okay.
In addition to that, he's building up his military. He's creating alliances with other African nations, both Central, Western, and Eastern Africa.
Okay.
And he's also picking up the slack where the fool Musk cut off U.S. aid into Africa, which is a key source of America's soft power, the ability to go over there and provide food, medicine, and fresh water, and give the implication that but for the United States, you would starve. But for the United States, you would have pandemics. But for the United States, you'd die of thirst. Well, he said we could do this for ourselves. And he's actually sent aid to 7 other African nations at a rate that is higher than what the U.S. aid was doing. So some of the critics of his moves are saying this is China surreptitiously providing soft power. But we don't see any evidence of that. It looks like it's all indigenous African effort. It's African food. It's African technology. They are building their own electric vehicles. They're investing in their own infrastructure. And they're doing this by leveraging their natural resources and trading on the market. And if you look at it, the richest continent on the planet is Africa. No one else has what they have.
No.
The rare earth minerals, the precious metals, oil, bountiful agriculture. They have everything that they need to be a world power, except for they have the colonizers on their back. So what young President TRAORE is doing is saying and demonstrating that we don't need you here. In fact, you're not welcome here. Now, France has taken a punch in the nose, and it's starting to hurt them in the pocketbook. United States, Britain, Italy, Spain, you name it. Belgium, of course. Holland, the Netherlands, China, Russia, they all have a stake in what goes on in Africa. And if you start seeing them say, all of y'all got to go. We don't want to do anything with you except as a peer and except as trade on an equal basis. It's going to be interesting to see what the reaction is of the West, which is typically violence, which is typically warfare. If what we're hearing out of Burkina Faso is true, they're building their own military. They're building their own armaments. They're doing what they need to do to defend themselves. And if that model is followed by other African nations, we may see a reimagining, a restructuring of the worldwide geopolitical chessboard. And I think it's not only is it a wonderful thing, I think it's a necessary thing, because as long as you have people meddling in Africa, in Gaza, in the West Bank. You can go to the Pacific nations, Southern Pacific nations. As long as you have people in there who don't belong there meddling, you'll never have peace. You'll never have stability. You'll never have your people in a position where they thrive. Ask the Philippines. So when you can get those people out of there and start doing for self and start managing and mandating what you do for yourself, then you'll start to have a chance. Ask Indonesia. Ask Thailand. You're starting to see some of these countries stand up on their 2 feet instead of crawling on all fours, and the initial outcome is a much better economic and political environment for the citizens. Now with these bananas tariffs that Trump is putting everywhere, not only is he weakening the United States economy, he's weakening the United States power worldwide. You're starting to see things like, I thought one of the most interesting things I've seen in the last week or so, Ahmad, is that China which has its own economic problems. Let's not pretend they're the behemoth that a lot of people would want you to think. They have a lot of poverty. They have a lot of catching up to do, even though they're miles ahead of the United States in manufacturing and things like that.
And all that.
Well, military, they may not be our equal yet, but my point is they have some things that they need to do to be as strong and as powerful as they want to portray themselves to be. But what they do have is they have the ability to pull the covers back and show people just where the United States bread is buttered. And one of the things they did is they went using memes and social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, Meta, Facebook, right where a lot of citizens get their information, and said, that Gucci bag that you paid $2,500 for, that's not made in Italy. They tell you it's made in Italy, but it's not. That Tom Ford fashion piece that you have that says it's made in, France. I don't follow that crap. No, it's
shoes.
made right here in China.
Yeah, them shoes.
Yeah, all those shoes.
Yeah.
The red sole shoes that women like, that they think are made in Italy.
Yep.
High quality. No, they're mass produced in China.
Yeah.
We put a made in this nation tag on them, and you go out and you spend $5,000 on something that costs us $50 to make. So what you can do, savvy consumer, is you can buy them directly from us. We'll ship them to your mailbox. Here's a portal. Hit this link here. You can get that same bag without the famous name. Same quality, same design. Looks identical. But it'll say made in China, and instead of paying $10,000 for it, you'll pay $100 for it. Now, what's going to be interesting to me, especially among some of our black women who love to shop.
Oh, yeah.
And, if they have the economic wherewithal, they will throw money at that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be interesting to me to see if they're willing to look at value versus prestige and buy that bag directly from China, as opposed to buying it at a 2,000, 3,000, 4,000% markup so they can have the prestige. Well, China is saying, you want to tariff us? You don't want to accept our goods? We could stick a label on it that says made in Vietnam. Oh, you want to hit Vietnam with tariffs? We could stick a label on it that says made in Thailand. We have the ability to do that, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
They're running circles around Trump.
Yeah, and last week he was saying, I'm China this, I'm China that. And here this man from China is going to Vietnam and in different places. Ain't thinking about what Trump is saying back here. And Trump trying to say, well, he'll call me,
No, he won't. I mean, it's foolish what he does. If you remember last summer, I believe it was, I'm sure it was in 2024, Biden had a meeting with the governments of South Korea and Japan, and he talked about the importance of a geopolitical alliance and an economic alliance between those two nations in the United States. South Korea and Japan, even though they're both ostensibly democracies, are rivals. And they really haven't been able to work together and get along in a strategy that benefits both nations and protects them against what they would call economic aggression from China. Well, Biden got them to sit down and agree and begin to initiate some of these policies. So what's Trump do? He runs his mouth. He flaps his gums. He throws these huge tariffs on and infuriated the Japanese. I haven't heard specifically what the South Koreans have said diplomatically, but the comments coming out of Japan are they're infuriated. So what they do? Japan, South Korea continue to negotiate, but they brought in a third party, and that third party was China. So now China's saying, yeah, we'll step in. We'll help you broker a deal that's good for both of your nations. And rather than having the United States as a pivot point in this economic setup, we'll make China the pivot point. Does that help us? Of course not.
Oh.
It weakens the United States. Not only does
Yeah.
it weaken the United States' economic power, but it also diminishes the geopolitical power that the United States has.
Yeah.
It seems that anything that Biden attempted to do or structured,
Yeah.
Trump immediately
Oh,
goes
yeah.
out to destroy.
Yeah, you know, and that this is the the dumbest man, the dumbest president, the dumbest person ever been, man. Because if you look at all the other presidents, one who comes in, he looks at what this other one done, and see, well, okay, we can use some of that, some of this. This man comes in and he wants to everything Biden done good. Oh, we can do we get away with that, and he's trying to pretend now that what's the man name sets the he was on other day.
Oh, Jerome Powell of the Fed?
Yeah,
that sets interest rates?
Yes.
Yeah. He says he's going to fire Jerome Powell as if he has authority to do that. Because Jerome Powell won't lower the interest rates to his satisfaction.
Yeah.
I mean, just look, Trump, look, man. I know you're surrounded by dummies that can't explain this to you.
Right.
But the reason why Jerome Powell does not lower the interest rates, as he had been doing under Biden, is that to do so would superheat inflation and cause a bigger problem than you have with relatively high interest rates. The idea that Powell will kowtow and bow down to Trump is one thing. That's just stupid on his face. He doesn't have the power or the authority to do it. And Jerome Powell almost laughed at him. But let's say Powell was a punk and said, okay, Mr. President, yassa, I'll lower interest rates. Okay, now Trump, you got a different problem. Now a loaf of bread is going for $5. Now those dozen eggs are going for $12, $15. Now the price of new cars, which are already skyrocketing because of the tariffs, are now going to be even higher because of this inflation that you're causing. Trump doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
No.
He's got the IQ, that box you have there, but he's got instinct and impulses. He's very aggressive, and with his simplistic thinking, he gets this dumb idea, and he's like a dog on a bone. He won't let go of it. He's been talking about tariffs since the 2000s, maybe before then. And he doesn't seem to understand that when he slaps a tariff on another nation, that 25, 40% is not paid out of the governmental coffers of that nation. They're added to the cost of the importer who's bringing it in. It may be Dave and Mary Johnson bringing in buttons for their dial factory. Now, instead of paying $1 for that button for a carton, now they have to pay $1.40 for that. And pretty soon, their entire business model is destroyed because people can't afford their products. They can't afford to pay people. They can't afford to run their machinery. Trump doesn't understand that extra 40% is paid by the people who buy the product. And the people who buy the product, in many cases, are its constituencies. And of course, now you're starting to see people from Iowa and Nebraska and Wyoming and the Dakotas and Texas and Utah crying and complaining about what Trump is doing to their pocketbooks. The veterans all over the country who can't go in and get their PTSD treatment because a doctor's been fired from the VA or the VA's been closed down. All these things, and they're just starting, Ahmad. That's the thing about it. They're just starting. We haven't really gotten to the point where they're up and running with all this stuff. And you know, on the one hand, I feel horrible for those people.
I do too.
But on the other hand, we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you this dude is no good. We tried to tell you at minimum he's a dunce. Worst case scenario, he's a traitor.
Yeah.
And he's doing this for reasons that have nothing to do with your well-being.
Right.
But you didn't want to hear it.
No.
Because you listen to Sean Hannity, and you want to you want to own the libs.
Yeah.
You know, you want to see them cry. So now you FAFOing, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for you?
Yeah, you know, and the thing is that a lot of people, you know, I heard different talk all around everything. Oh, well, he just saying that, or he just saying this. Okay, you know, well, he gonna do this. You know, I tell him he gonna do this. Oh no, he just, you know, he just saying something.
Yeah.
But when he got in there, look, and the thing about what irritates me, I guess one of the things the most is that when you become the president of the U.S., no matter who voted for you or who didn't vote for you, you're still supposed to try to help these people.
Well,
and his whole thing is getting the people who didn't vote for him.
Oh yeah. He's on a vindication tour right now. He's removed the security clearance from Biden, from many of the administrative people like lawyers and other functionaries who worked on his impeachment cases.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very personal with him. But here's the thing, man. You can be vindictive all you want to, but sooner or later, it's going to be the people who voted for you, who supported you, who are starting to get hurt. And in fact, it's not sooner or later; it's here now.
Yeah, it's here right now.
It's just a matter of magnitude.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Then what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Because they're turning on you. His approval rating is slowly diminishing. It was always built on a mirage.
Yeah.
You had people in this election who voted for him in 2016 and saw him fail miserably at certain policy points, say that was the reason why I voted for him.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you're looking at him like, well, you know, I would ask, where are you getting this information from? But I know because they're being propagandized by an Australian named Murdoch and his ilk out there in hate radio, and that's all they listen to, and they're manipulated like a child because they don't have a foundation of historical and economic information to stand on in the first damn place.
Right.
So they can be moved in any direction like a ship without a sail.
Yeah.
But when you have, or without a rudder rather, but when you finally get to the point where it's your boat that's up against the rocks, and there's no one else to blame but your hero.
Yeah, you know, and like we were saying, you know, a lot of these places like you mentioned, Iowa and some of these states that where, you know, Republican won by about 30 or 25, 30 points, and now these people are feeling they feeling the pinch now.
Oh yeah,
you know,
they
ran around, you know, I'm a Republican, but hey, now they feeling the punch.
Yeah, and you've got, you know, when Musk went after the federal government and he went after federal workers, it was predictable. Because if you look at people who go to work for the Fed, and I'm talking historically now, since the early 70s, when the last official governmental Jim Crow laws were knocked down, and they no longer could just prevent black people from working within the U.S. government, these good federal jobs, career jobs, they couldn't do that anymore.
You're right.
So they applied the civil service standards to everyone, which said you've got to be. I took a test when I was a senior in college to work for the feds. I remember that vividly. It was a pretty tough test. You have to take tests to test into certain levels that go along with your qualifications academically and educationally to qualify you for jobs. Well, because of that objectivity, because of that inherent fairness, you saw black people get a lot of jobs within the federal government. So instead of DEI, what you had was objectivity. Instead of saying good old boyism, and you could just give the job to Mary and Joe, mainly Joe, because even women weren't highly involved in.
Right.
You had a situation where you have thousands of people around Washington, D.C., around the DMV, you know, that Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area that had these good governmental jobs. And, of course, a racist jerk like Musk looks at that and says, oh, that's DEI. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to shut all those people down. So he goes in here and he summarily fires people in the VA. He summarily fires people in the nuclear readiness programs, just program after program after program, no rhyme or reason, just using a hammer and a hatchet instead of a scalpel, which, by the way, Bill Clinton reduced the size of the federal government in the 90s, but he used a scalpel. He did identify waste. He did identify duplicity. He did identify jobs that were paying too much or jobs that weren't as important as they once were. And he scaled those down. But again, it was with the scalpel. What Musk has done has been to devastate the environment anywhere that those jobs exist, and it's just not in D.C.
Right.
You've got jobs out here in the heartland where people didn't realize that DEI thing included them. So now what you're starting to see is the economic harm come down, the people beginning to protest, taking a look. And one of the things they notice, Ahmad, is that many of the agencies that Musk is going after are agencies that had authority over his businesses, that may have penalized his businesses for violations of the law or violations of regulations, or made them stand up and pay fair wages, whatever it is. Those are the first people Musk is going after. Here's a man who gets $8 million per day. Did you hear me? I say a week. I say a month. $8 million every day from the federal government for his interests. But then he's going to turn around after claiming he's going to save $1.5 trillion. He hasn't even hit $1 billion yet. And of the hundreds of millions of dollars he has cut, many of them he's had to bring back or try to bring back. And again, it's always at the expense of people who don't look like him, or people he has no respect for, or people who have the ability to regulate and control what he does. Then you throw, of course, from the micro view, which is Musk and these clowns, these Doge clowns, you pull back the camera and you look at it geopolitically. And as the United States makes itself crippled and possibly destroyed, Putin sat back sipping tea, feeling happy, because now his biggest rival, his biggest geopolitical rival, is sinking into the sand, and it's all self-made misery and pain.
I heard him saying, yesterday or the day before, the place where, he had said a couple of weeks ago, he was getting all of these phone numbers and address and all that. They said he can't do it now.
The court after court after court case has stopped Trump in his tracks. And I wish we'd have talked about the Garcia, who they sent down to El Salvador. I mean, the Supreme Court tells Trump, "Hey man, you got to bring this dude back. You got to how do they put it? Affect his return." Trump's like,
we could go on and on because there's so much more to talk about, but we won't. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki, and we catch you down in the next block for more Street Talk. Peace.
Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, "You are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God."